Here's what most business owners and high-performing men get wrong about leadership. You spend all day leading, right? At work, you provide direction, you make decisions, you make the hard calls, you point guys where you need them, you hold your boundaries, you're the man. But then you come home and you're tired, you're stressed, you're burnt out, you can't be bothered, you just rather lay back. And you're like, I don't care, babe, whatever you want. Thinking that if you allow her to decide, it'll make her happy. Feeling like if you're easygoing, it'll just make everyone else's life easier. Partly due to the stress, the burnout, maybe partly due to lazy, maybe just ill-informed even. That lack of direction, that lack of decisiveness in your relationship and in your home is actually what's causing the lack of intimacy, is actually what's created this environment where you feel more like roommates, more like two friends just co-parenting these children. The spark's gone, intimacy is dead, sex is just a distant memory. But you recognize that you're not willing to settle for that. That you're someone that's prided yourself on always striving for more, to be better. And that drive is what's given you the success in business and financially and in all the other areas in life, except in your relationship, except at home. And now that's the area where it's starting to count the most. And you've probably tried the date nights, the random things to spice it up. Maybe bought some sex toys, some lingerie, some of those, scratch the date nights for all the ideas, the questions to ask each other to create that connection, build that intimacy, that fun, that flirting, trying everything to get it back. But it still feels robotic, cold, maybe forced. And even if it does work for the night, it just goes back to where it was. There's not that cheeky little smile or that flirtatious, around the kitchen bench in the morning. It's just back to business. And so what a lot of guys get wrong is that leadership they show at work, they need to bring an essence of that back home, but it's a different type of leadership. Because the way that you lead at work, you can't lead your kids that way. You can't lead the feminine that way. Because it takes a different style of leadership. Leadership nonetheless, but a different style of masculine leadership. And so I want to take you through a framework that is going to help you to restore that. Because if we look at intimacy and leadership, just like this pyramid, like at the top up here is the desired state, right? That's what you want in terms of your intimacy. That's the spark. That's the sex, the connection, all the things that we're aiming for. Where most guys jump to is the stuff up here. That's the date nights, the questions, the activities, the apps, the toys, the lingerie, the what do I need to say or do to get my partner in the mood? What do I need to say to seduce her, do for her? Buying the chocolates, buying the flowers, doing the gestures, all with that undertone of, I'm just trying to get you into bed. I'm just trying to get you into the mood. Maybe it's a massage, maybe it's, a pampering day, whatever your flavor is, however you've tried. Again, it's probably been surface level. You probably haven't seen a noticeable change in the long term in terms of that intimacy and connection, because there's this massive gap in what's missing. And so from the base, if we look at intimacy as a byproduct, right? The intimacy, the sex is just the final piece of the puzzle, because that's not made in the bedroom where most guys think it is. It's actually made outside of the bedroom. It's just in the bedroom where we get to collect our rewards, so to speak. In the same way that in business, your business isn't made in your bank account, but that's where you get to see the rewards, right? One of the rewards. Obviously, sex isn't the only reward to being intimate and connected, but you get the gist. And so if we see intimacy as a byproduct of leadership, that polarity, right, between the masculine and the feminine, the only way that we can create that is by building that polarity, which means stepping into our masculine and by default, leading. Starting to lead in our relationship, being more masculine, being more decisive, more directive, so that she can relax into her feminine. But if she hasn't been able to do that, and you try to lead, you try to make decisions, you're going to get pushback because she hasn't had proof that you are capable or trustworthy enough to hand the reins over, to lead. And so it's only right that she challenges you. She's not happy with that decision. She wants to test you to see if you are capable, to see if you're ready. Now, a guy that hasn't done the bottom of this pyramid is going to falter. He'll get frustrated. Oh, fine, just do whatever you want anyway. I don't care. I was just trying to do this. I thought that's what you wanted. Or whatever other reactive line they throw out there. Or they fold and just say, yep, that's fine. I'm easy. And go back to people-pleasing state. Nice guy. Because they haven't done this. And that proves to their partner, okay, cool. He's not ready to lead yet. He's not ready to hand the reins over. Right? And so what we need to work on is, first of all, ourselves. Because if we can't regulate our nervous system, and as for nervous system, if we can't regulate our nervous system, we can't stay calm in moments like that. We can't stay calm in the face of chaos. We can't give our partner, our kids, or anyone our grounded presence, which is what they deeply require from us. They deeply desire is to feel us. But they can't feel us if we're not there. If we're physically there, but mentally we're stressed about work, we're thinking about that client that was pissing us off before that's threatening to leave or that's got a payment overdue. We're worried about everything else except where we are right now. And they can feel that. Because if we're not calm and regulated, we're not in our body, they can't feel us. So we can't fully understand what they're communicating. And so if we can't understand what our wife is trying to communicate, how likely is it, do you think, that we're going to get into bed? Right? We might get in there off some surface level because she's decided that she wants some sex. But you're not going to get there because you've created a deep level of understanding, a deep level of intimacy, and then been able to lead her where you want to take her because you're capable of leading from your masculine essence. It's just not going to happen. So when we regulate our nervous system, we are able to stay grounded and present. We're able to stay calm within our body despite the chaos of the feminine emotions, despite the stress of the outside world, despite the stress and the tantrums of our kids. Then we stand a chance of staying here. Once you can regulate yourself and you can stay calm in those spaces and you can prove that you can hold those tantrums, that chaos, those emotions, then we move up into self-leadership. Because just because you can regulate yourself is amazing. A lot of nice guys will call it regulation, but it's really suppression, right? Just because you push those emotions down doesn't mean that you are regulated. I definitely used to believe that I was like, oh, I'm calm under pressure. It's like, cool, I just swallowed it and pretended I didn't feel anything. Not very compatible with creating that intimacy because I can't feel me. So fat chance of her being able to feel me either. And so self-leadership is being impeccable with your word, is leading yourself. Because if we want to lead other people, we need to lead ourselves. Because if they see that we can't lead ourselves, that we're not impeccable with our word, we're not disciplined, we don't do what we say we'll do, we're never on time, we don't walk the talk, walk the walk and talk the talk, then why would they trust us, right? If we're only disciplined and on time and we only lead ourselves when we feel like it, how likely are they going to trust us? Because they'll know, oh, well, he'll only do it when it's convenient for him. And in the same way that you wouldn't trust an employee with your highest paying client, with your most valuable and high priority tasks, if you know that they're only good when they feel like it, right? Because then it's a mixed bag. And that's the difference between your A players and your B players. Your A players, and the masculine men that get this all the time when they want it, is because that's who they are. It's who they have embodied. Because it's not if I feel like it or not, it's all the fucking time. And so self-leadership is that discipline, is doing what you say when you say you will, knowing your values, being congruent with those values, and knowing your purpose, aligning yourself with that purpose day in, day out. And most of all, having boundaries. Having boundaries and saying no when things collide with those boundaries or that mission. Saying no when that is your truth, but doing it in a way that is controlled and regulated, not reactive and spiteful and passive aggressive, which is how nice guys communicate their truth and their boundaries, right? So when we can regulate our nervous system so that we can be deeply grounded and present, which is what our partner wants. They want to be able to feel us. They want to know that they want to feel heard, feel validated, feel seen when we are communicating with them. When we can lead ourselves by being congruent with our values, by aligning ourselves with our purpose or our mission, by being impeccable with our word, by maintaining and holding those high standards, not just for ourselves, but for everyone around us. The standards for those at work, the standards at home, and having consequences when those standards or those boundaries get crossed. At work, you wouldn't tolerate it if someone consistently didn't meet the expectations, if they consistently were below par. 1 strike, 2 strikes, maybe you put them on a performance plan if you like them or if they've been around a long time. Otherwise, it's get out. You're costing me money. So having ways to set those boundaries and communicate those so people feel them and people know that there's a consequence when they get crossed. Because then once you can lead yourself and people can see that and they can feel that, then you get to this place where she's going to trust you to lead. And of course, there's going to be pushback. There's going to be testing because, of course, she's going to test. She needs to prove that you are capable of this. But a powerful masculine man will see that test as an opportunity to reinforce his ability to his partner, to reinforce that he is trustworthy, that he is worthy of respect, that he is worthy of leading her, so that he can strengthen that trust and even even lift himself up higher in that regard. A nice guy, or a guy that's not ready for that level of intimacy and this level of ownership and responsibility, will get reactive, will get short, will shut down. And we'll see that challenge as, oh, she's just being a bitch, and whinge. And so when you get to this point, because you've regulated your nervous system, you've led yourself first and foremost, puts you in a position where you can lead others, or you become someone that is worthy of following. Then when you start asking those deeper questions, you start actioning those date nights, you get the toys, you get the lingerie, you start those seduction techniques and games and all the things up here, the fun stuff, then you get to feel that depth. You get to feel the true depth and essence of your feminine partner because you've earned it. But you can only feel that depth as far as, or as deep as you can lead. As deep as you can go into your masculine is as deep as she'll allow herself to go into her feminine. But it requires this work. And so if that intimacy, that spark, that sex, that deep level of connection, that polarity in your relationship is what you've been missing, is what you've been craving, and you haven't started here, start here. And so I hope that's helpful. We have a 7-day nervous system reset in our school community that you can go and jump on for absolute free if you have no idea where to start with that. But I'd love to hear what you have taken away from this. What has stood out? What's been the aha moment for you as to what you resonated with and where you need to start, what you need to work on? Drop me a comment or a message because I'd love to find out.